Yeah, hello all. Thanks for your time. And yeah, thanks for joining. Just give me 2 more minutes. Let's see if someone is joining. If not, we'll start the session. And can someone please let me know in the chat, like you guys can hear me and see the screen? Yeah, thank you, Arjun, for confirming. So let's wait for 2 more minutes and we'll start the session. Yeah, hi, Kishore. I hope you can hear me. So yeah, we are yet to start the session. Yeah. And today is a demo session, by the way. So what is the agenda for the session? Everything will we will discuss. I guess we can start the session. It's already 8:02. Fine. Yeah. Once again, welcome to the session. So this is Linux Administrator and mainly for RHCSA certification sessions. So yeah, and this is the mail ID for any issue you have. Please drop an email. So let me send it in the chat as well. Any technical doubts, payment doubts, anything, you just drop an email to this one. Someone from the team will be responding. Okay. So yeah, we will come back to this poster later. So the general information is the first three sessions will be for free. So which means um, like today, tomorrow, and even Saturday there is a session. The first three will be on free, and from the next Monday it will be only for the paid candidates. Okay, and this is the paid sessions, by the way. And the first two sessions recordings will be uploaded to the YouTube channel, and from the third one, you only through the paid candidates it will be like shared. Okay, so it will be shared in the LMS portal. I'll be showing you that, and there is no batch shifting, and there is no refund. As well as you just click on this link. Okay, let me click share and let me click on it. Yeah, let me share it in the chat as well. So if you go to that, so, yeah. So you will see this join chat. So click on that and yeah. So in your if you are accessing from mobile, click on it. Automatically, it will go to the WhatsApp app. If not, if you are trying from web, you just click on join chat. It will log into the WhatsApp web, and you will be part of the channel or the community. Okay, so WhatsApp community. So why you need to be part of this one is like, let's say if there is any session is not there or any communication related to the session will be posted only on this group. Okay, so yeah, please join this one if you're not already. And yeah, and it will be through the LMS. The LMS we are using is Graphy, and we will see that. Okay, so how to enroll for the session. So at the last, I will show you that. And the Logic Lab support team is available only from Monday to Saturday between 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. IST. Okay, so yeah, this is their contact number. So please do reach out to them for any information or any doubts, anything. You just reach out to them. They will redirect it to me, and we will resolve the issue. Like if there is any technical issue, if there is any payment or recording issue, you can reach out to them. They will be resolving it. Okay, so yeah. So these are all the social media links or all the links. So you can see YouTube, Insta, and LinkedIn everywhere. And we will see the website later. Okay, so yeah. And today is a demo session, the first demo session. And it is Linux Administrator, RHCSA batch, which is like, this is my 16th batch, I guess, with Logic Labs. So a little bit about myself. So Karthik here. I have RHCSA certification and currently working as a platform engineer in one of the MNCs and currently handling at least 9,000 to around 11,000 servers are there. So yeah. And any YouTube channel, yes, there is a YouTube channel. This is the YouTube channel link. Anyhow, I'll show you at the last where you can go through. So yeah. And yeah, so let's move on to the actual content. So first thing, and why, uh, like, this is the first question you would have, right? What is Linux? If you're really new to IT or like this is the first time you're, obviously you might have heard Linux, but not to a certain extent, right? So let's say you are from a different background, like EC or EEE or somewhere, still you might have heard Linux, but not to a certain extent, like to turn it into a career, right? So that's the reason. First thing, what is a Linux and why it's still relevant in IT? Because you might have heard so many operating system and it would not be into the mainstream. Okay, so because it has its own caveats and all, but still, why companies prefer especially Linux? Why? Because We will see that, okay? But what is Linux? First thing, it is just a OS, just like your Windows application, or sorry, Windows operating system. Okay, so just like this, you have Linux. Okay, so what is the difference then? Why can't companies prefer Windows, right? So this can be the typical one, right? So why can't Windows compete with Linux? So why? Because there is a higher margin from um, the Linux user base, especially in enterprise. I'm talking about, like in the company end. The usage of Linux is far superior than your Windows. So why is that? We will see down the line, but the actual reason is it has its own benefits. Okay, so Linux is mainly created for having the most efficient uh, performance and whatever process you're running, right? So that it should be at its peak, whatever process is happening. So the operation level, there should not be any lag or any issue, right? So the main purpose is to have a open source. So now is where you will be introduced to a term called as open source and closed source. Okay, just give me few minutes, Virendra. Okay, so we will have a Q&A session. Just give me 2 more minutes. Okay, so let me complete the very basics and we'll be having a talk. So first thing is what is open source and what is closed source. Closed source, the best example is your Windows system itself. So if you see here, yeah, so if you see here, the closed source, right? So, like, let's say you are making any changes here, right? So if you click on update, it should not update. Or if you click on update, it should go to some other screen, right? So you can actually make the changes, but if there is any new update or if there is any changes in the system, immediately after the next Windows update, it can be reverted back to the original state. Why? Because you don't have the control over your system, right? So that's a good and bad at the same time. Okay, so if you want to tune the performance or if you want it to be tailored performance based on your requirement, you can't, right? So especially in Windows, you can't do that because it's a closed source, or only Microsoft has the edge towards editing or any such configuration change. Everything can be performed only by Microsoft. Okay, so that's the closed source. And how about open source? So an open source environment is like any changes. So let's say all these changes is tailored only for your requirement and literally everything you can change. That's the best thing about open source. And that's where Linux succeeded. Okay, so and why still it's been relevant in the companies are or in general in IT, why it's still relevant? Because each and every company can create their own way of approach to the each and every servers or any system. Let's say it is a critical system, they can even introduce so many security levels to the same system. Or if it is a normal like basic application is running, still they can rely on that, right? So the point is it can be tailored based on the requirement, and Linux is the best one for that. Okay, so that's the main reason Linux is still relevant in IT. Okay, there are so many reasons. This is the main reason. Why? Because you like the percentage of how many people are using or how many companies are using is around 85 percentage is Linux, and remaining 15 is being other. Oh, yes. It can be anything, but you see the vast difference, right? So literally, if you know Linux, or Linux is a necessity now. Okay, so no matter if you're a developer or any other stream in IT, at least the application will be running on a Linux machine. No other way, right? So at least in one channel, it will be used. So like that. So you can't escape Linux as of now because companies do use it often and you must use it. Okay, so yeah. So moving on to the next one. So what is Red Hat, or what are all the different OS streams here? So for that, let me open um, distro watch. So this is a very interesting site. Okay, so if you go here, you can see different distributions of Linux. Okay, so and one more thing is, one sec, let me show you the actual person who created Linux. And he's not the only person, it is a open source, right? So you see around 15,000 plus, or almost 16,000 people are contributed for creating this Linux kernel. Okay, so a kernel is a part of the system. And what is a kernel, and what is the purpose of it? Everything we'll see in the next session. Okay, but as of now, this is the kernel, and he is the Linus Torvalds. So he is the one who initiated it. Okay, so and this is not the only Unix-based operating system. There are so many during its days, and this is also based on Minix. Okay, so Minix is a previous one, and why or how this became the standard now, right? So it has its own flexibility, especially in the kernel end. And yeah, so it had a uh, like so many contributors also during its those days. Also there were so many contributors, and it's since it's open source, right? So you see, even just a while ago, each and everything will be updated. So that's the best thing about this repository, is it's a latest, or it's been updated every now and then. Okay, so yeah, that's a good thing. And coming back to DistroWatch, so these are all different types of Linux distros out there. So this is called as distros. Distros are nothing but distributions. Okay, so you see, there is a rank also based on how many or how many users prefer which Linux distro. Okay, so since anyone can create their own version of Linux, simply you just pull this one. This is a base one. Okay, so you should not just pull it and call it a day, like, okay, I created my own OS. So you need to create all the icons. If you're having a UI, you need to create everything, right? So like that, so many developers out there, they created their own version of Linux. So these are all the ones. So you just go through this link. Let me send it in the chat. Okay, so you just go through this. You will see some interesting distros also. Okay, and even still now, people do prefer this kind of distros for their own usage, and even companies prepare their own distro. Okay, so you see Red Hat around 63rd position. And yeah, this is like open source, like you see MX Linux. And if I have Ubuntu will be there in the top, because these are all like commercial one, right? So anyone can use it. Whereas Red Hat also anyone can use. It's not like only few can use, but the point is Red Hat is has its own user base as your enterprise. So enterprise is nothing but your companies. Okay, so yeah, fine. So how there is a difference between these distros, everything we'll see in the upcoming sessions. But as of now, this is the baseline. So now we will see what is Red Hat and why that is what I will prefer as a main operating system. Since we have so many, why I am preferring only Red Hat? So why? Because companies also prefer Red Hat only because they have a very good support teams as well as a very reliable operating system. So the operating system name is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So in short, it is called as RHEL. Okay. So this is the first thing, and they they pioneered the enterprise first thing, right? So they preferred enterprise over a typical users like us. So their main target audience is the companies. So that's the reason they created and they kind of succeeded in it. And as of now, Red Hat is owned by IBM. Okay, so they acquired it and like 4 years or 3 years back, I guess. And these are all the products from Red Hat. And if we just go through that itself, it will take so much of time because they have their own cloud computing solution as well as cloud service like OpenShift is there, OCP. Okay, so OpenShift Cloud Platform, and you might have heard Ansible if you ever worked in automation and all. So Ansible is also owned by Red Hat, and so many. Okay, so yeah, these are all the um, main thing. But the USP of Red Hat is their own operating system. Okay, and the best thing is they do have a very best support team, I would say. Companies do pay for them just for their support team because obviously any operating system has its own flaw, but the Red Hat went up a notch and having a very good support team. Okay, so yeah. And also they dominate the industry by 74 percentage. Okay, so this much percentage is Red Hat or Dell. Okay, so remaining is being used by some other Linux operating system like Ubuntu or something, but 74 percentage is used by RHEL only. Okay, so yeah. So coming back here, so why RHCSA or why their certification? Why? Because first thing, RHCSA full form is Red Hat Certified System Administrator. And why we are going through only this certificate? Because there is so many other form PIA is there, and you have LFCS, so many other. Okay, so but why only RHCSA? Because it has its own credibility. Okay, so in the industry as well as if you mention RHCSA certified in your resume, you might have an upper hand, especially obviously we will work in a enterprise and maybe they have a Red Hat and we can see a large margin that they might have, right? So that's the reason you can opt for this, and it is a how to say, it is a practical based exam actually. Okay, so there is no multiple choice. So if you know the exact commands or if you know the exact answer only, you can answer it. So it's like that. Okay, so that's also a very good thing. So because it's not that easy and it's not that like it's not that hard also, but still you should prepare for it. So if you know the command only, you can answer it. And we will see what is that exams question. So yeah, so this is the basic learning path. Okay, so yeah, we will see one by one. And in today's session, I'll be just going through this syllabus overview. And after that, I will answer your question. Okay. So any doubts, anything, we will just see that. So first thing is user management. So any operating system, if you take, the first and foremost, they need to manage their own users, right? So now there are two things. So first thing, if it is a product based, so they have their own team or own like the business units, right? So many teams will be there, and they need to manage their own employees only. First thing, and if it is a um, like service-based company, they need to manage their employees as well as the clients' information, or they do manage their clients' information also means their user also need to be managed, right? So that's the first thing. And it's a very crucial one also. So which route the companies take to manage their user base, because it should be secure. All the things should be perfect. Okay, so there should not be any flaw in especially managing a user, because you should see the security part, everything, right? So that's the thing about user management, and we will see extensively how the user management works in Linux and in general. Okay, so we will talk about Active Directory and all. So yeah, and the next one is disk management. So, and we will take it for granted in your Windows or in our local machines, the disk management, because obviously only we will be using the disks, right? So we don't, or we need not make it kind of utopia land for the files, right? So we want the files to be accessed immediately, and there is no need for it to be organized in a certain way, right? So that's how we use it. But in your work environment, so all the data must be in a certain way so that it should be in an optimal way also. So why? Because like companies spend a lot of money just to save the data, right? So that's fair, and that's why there is a dedicated section for disk management, and it is a very, very important section. As a sysadmin, you should concentrate because you are the one who can manage it. You are the only person who can manage in your work environment once you're placed. Okay, so the next one is process management, and we will see extensively how the like how to start a process, how to diagnose if a process fails, and how to make the process consistent. Everything will be discussing, and also the configuration goes behind the scenes, right? So all the things we'll be discussing in the process management. And how about server troubleshooting? And this one actually is like, again, not only part of the exams we'll be discussing. So it's not like, okay, only if we discuss a topic, this is only for your exam, nothing like that. So whatever I been training for quite some time, also what I'm doing in a day-to-day activity, right, in my work environment. So all the things we'll be discussing. Okay, so the next one is your server troubleshooting. So this one actually you won't do in your exam itself. So troubleshooting and all, which means like, let's say your mission is rebooted. So if I go to my task manager and performance, so how to manage if there is any sudden spike in my memory usage, or all of a sudden there is a disk speed is very slow, right? So and there is a so many transactions in my network like that. So if there is any sudden spike, or if the server is rebooting continuously, so like that, so many issues are there in your server. So we will see one by one what went wrong in it, right? So and we will try to resolve it, and that's your expertise. That's the expertise needed in your work environment. Okay, so that's the sysadmin they need. So how to approach an issue, because obviously no system will be perfect. There will be issues, and how to mitigate the issue. That's the first thing we need to check, and how to do the postmortem of the issue. Like that issue should not occur again. So then there is a huge issue, right? So if it is keep on recurring again. So that's the main thing we will focus on, server troubleshooting. It will be interesting session. Okay. So trust me. So this section 4 is very, very interesting, and it is not part of the exam, by the way. Okay. So the next one is why I mention as basic networking. Why? Because networking itself is a separate subject. Okay, so we won't dwell too deep into okay, what is network and what is subnetting. Everything we won't cover it. Okay, so as a sysadmin, what will be the requirement, and especially as a sysadmin, what and all you will be like making changes, like setting up a static IP, how to start up the service of the network, how to troubleshoot if you're facing any issues. Like that basic networking only we'll be doing in terms of the server end. Okay, so that's the main thing. And this is kind of like a learning path we will be going through. And this is the syllabus. Okay, so from next session means tomorrow itself, we'll be starting the sessions. Okay, so yeah, in tomorrow's session, we'll be seeing the basic commands and the intro to the RHEL. Okay, so the RHEL current version is 9.4, or you can use RHEL 8 or 9. So it doesn't matter. You can either go with 8 or 9. So both are almost same. It's not much difference. Okay, so I mentioned 8. You can even install 9 also. That's not an issue. Okay, and the next one is you might have came across if anyone mentioned I know Linux, you might have asked like you might have known basic commands or something. So commands plays a vital part in your Linux. That's obvious, but it's not that hard also. So many have a perspective like um, it's too hard to remember all the commands, because trust me, no, even myself or anyone experienced in Linux doesn't remember every command, right? So obviously, no one can because there is around thousands of commands. So what is the scenario and if which command to be used is the expertise any company needs. Okay, so it's not like exactly you must use the command. So which command to be used is the knowledge anyone expects. So that's the thing we will be discussing. So based on which scenario, which command to be preferred. Okay, so around so there is around 1,800 to 2,000 commands are there. We will be discussing around 200, at least 200 to 300 commands. Okay, so in our sessions, important commands. Okay, so important or essential commands we'll be discussing. And the next session itself, we'll be doing the installation part. Okay, so because we must have a working lab environment, so obviously we must install. So the installation part is two ways we will be doing, either through the our local system VMware installation. Based on VMware, we'll be doing, and the other one is cloud service provider like AWS, GCP, or Azure. So Azure, actually, if you are already a student, then please do use it. So many might not be a student. So I would suggest you to use AWS or GCP. Don't worry about it. I will show you how to install and everything. But just prefer which CSP, means which cloud service provider to be used. Because if you sign up for everything, the trial will start. Okay, so just try to use only one way. Or the best thing is I am currently using is VMware Workstation, which is my in our mission itself, it will be there. So there is no need for, uh, like again, there is no payment for AWS or GCP. It's a free service only. Okay. Again, for a certain time only, it is for free. But we will discuss about this one. Okay. And the next one is the performance monitoring. So first thing, if there is any spike. So spike in the sense you see here like this. Okay, so suddenly there is a spike and it went to a very normal state, right? So why there is a spike at this particular moment and how long there was the spike in that usage. So like that, if a single system means it's totally fine, simply you can monitor like this. How about like 10,000 servers? How would you monitor? It's physically not possible, right? So that's where your monitoring tools will be there. And there are quite so many monitoring tools are there. So you have Zabbix and Splunk is for log monitoring, and Dynatrace is for your application monitoring, and you have New Relic. Okay, so like New Relic and so many. Okay, so the list goes on. And yeah, I will try to show you, or I will add in my resource, like about at least one of the monitoring tools. Okay, so it can be either Splunk or Dynatrace. Okay, so if you know at least one of these, it will be more than enough because companies do prefer either Splunk Enterprise or Dynatrace because this will be covering all the, like the system metrics will be covered. And in Splunk, you can monitor the logs. So what is a log and why we need to monitor that, we will discuss it later. But as of now, either of their trainings I will attach in my resource sections. Okay. So you can go through that because that knowledge is also essential. You can't escape it because um, after joining a company, if you have that knowledge, that's totally different. But again, if you have this basic monitoring tool, how to set up an alert, if it reaches, let's say 90% of memory, what would happen? Like it need to trigger an mail or it need to trigger a notification. Like that basic setup, we will be, or I will be uploading that in the resource. Okay, so we will discuss that. And the next one is the user management, as I mentioned, the very, very important one. So you have how to create, delete, modify, or how to manipulate the user base. Okay, so it can be local user or Active Directory user. I will discuss about Active Directory maybe tomorrow. Okay, so what is Active Directory and how it works and all. But as of now, that is a separate or it's a centralized ac- account management system. Okay, so and it is hosted in. So if you see Active Directory, it is hosted in Windows Server. Any version it can be, but it is part of Windows Server. And companies do prefer Windows Server over Linux. Actually, even Linux has its own Active Directory called as LDAP. So mostly AD is what companies prefer. Okay, so yeah. And so both is a different thing, local users and Active Directory user. We will discuss that and how to set up a password and basic things, right? So how, like, what would be the password aging tools or aging control? Okay, so those things we'll be discussing. And yeah, so again, manipulating the different groups and their permissions. And you have super user. So this is a interesting take on the privileged access. Okay, so why there is a privileged access? So you have administrator, right? So in your Windows also you have an admin account. Anyone it can be, at least one admin account it will be, right? So if you have only one user, that guy even become as an admin in your Windows. Whereas in Linux, you need to have a admin called as root. Okay, so and he is the most privileged guy in the whole server. Root, privileged user. Okay, so but it's not like, okay, only he need to perform every task. Obviously, no, right? So there will be application team, backup team, testing. So many teams will be involved. But the basic tasks obviously can be set up by root, but not everything he can be doing, right? So that and root privilege only sysadmin will be having. So how to mitigate this one? So we will discuss that, and it's an interesting take on privileged access. Okay, so how to configure the super user access or privileged access, and it is called as sudo. Okay, so we will discuss that, and again the basic OS concepts like how what are all the basic commands or essential commands, and how to search for a specific text, right? So using grep and tail, all the view-based commands and all we'll discuss. How to access a system remotely using SSH and what goes in background from the SSH. That's an important thing we need to discuss. Okay, so just SSH, anyone can understand or know. What goes in the background, very few understands actually or knows, even the experienced person. So we will delve deep into like what actually happens while it performs the SSH. Okay. And the next one is what is archive and why we need to archive stuff. Okay. So archive old logs or as of now, it is not needed, but in future it might be needed. Right. So we will archive stuff and how to do that and how to remove or how to optimally save it, right? So yeah, those things we'll check. And these are all again file manipulation commands: create, delete, copy, move. All these are file permissions or file manipulation. And hard link, soft link, and all we will discuss. And file permissions, very very important one for your security as well as how it is approached, right? So this permissions is so important that it kind of surpasses the security part, especially compared to your Windows. Okay, so it's a very easy and straightforward one, but you must understand. And most important session it will be. If you opted for our sessions, this will be very very important session. The file permissions, and the next one is the booting procedure. So in next session itself, we will be discussing that what is a booting procedure and how to interrupt the boot, right? And why this knowledge is important, because in your work environment, it can stuck in any phase, right? So let's say if system is booting, let's say after 2 minutes, it is stuck in, let's say, kernel or MBR or grub, any phase it is stuck. You need to know which phase it is stuck and you need to resolve that issue so that the system will be back online, and it can be even a critical issue, right? So you need to understand where it is stuck and you need to troubleshoot it, right? So for that, you need to know the booting procedure. And it's a very common interview question as well. Okay, so what is a booting procedure? You must know as a sysadmin. Fine. So yeah. So how to identify the intensive process and kill process? So that's what we saw here, right? So task manager. So how to identify what went wrong or which is consuming a lot of CPU or memory. All of a sudden, which one is consuming a lot of usage of your CPU or memory. All these are system resources, by the way. So which one it is consumed, we can easily track it via monitoring tool or anything, and we need to resolve it, right? So that's the thing. And all these are important topics like tune profile and the log understand, right? So how to understand the log itself is a skill, right? As a sysadmin, you should understand what log to be checked because there will be plethora of logs, like uh, like uh, lakhs and lakhs of lines will be there. Just the basic logs will be, it will be piled up in your system. How to identify the exact log? So those things also will be checking, right? So yeah, and how to start, stop, check of any system services. So any in the sense, literally any system based or user initiated service or application services, everything will be checking. And how to transfer like SCP. Okay, so it is a secure copy or rsync. There are two commands. We will be discussing that, how to transfer a file between server A to server B or system like from our Windows system to a Linux machine, right? So yeah, and we are almost done. Okay, so yeah, so this is the disk management, and in disk management it is actually called as LVM. The full form of LVM is logical volume management. So easiest way to explain this is, so you go here, can I combine disk 0 and disk 1 and call it as disk new or something? We can't. Natively, we can't do that. Using some third-party softwares, we can, but that is also we can't rely on that because sometimes it might not work. In your Windows, I'm talking about, or even Windows Server, natively you can't combine a disk 0. It is around 1.8 TB, and this is around 200 gigs, right? So combine these two, I can call it 2 TB. No, natively you can't, but in Linux you can, and this is also one of the USP of Linux. Okay, so combining different partitions, and these are all partitions, by the way, combining multiple partitions into a single logical volume, and that's what LVM means. Okay, a very, very baseline explanation I'm giving. We will see extensively around 2 to 3 sessions just for the LVM. And it is a very interesting and important topic also because day to day you'll be doing this LVM. So yeah, how to create an LVM, how to manage, how to resize, remove, everything we'll be discussing, how to mount it, right? So yeah, like there are different file systems are there, and how to diagnose if it went wrong. Everything we'll be discussing in this like file system management or your disk management in general. Okay, and you have strategies and video. So these are all advanced way of like setting up this one, advanced LVM concepts. And these are all part of your exam also, strategies and video. So yeah. So moving on to the security, how to manage the security. Obviously, any operating system, security plays a vital part to choose whether this operating system is fine for our environment. Especially in enterprise, they will kind of measure or scale up the system based on the security, right? So, and obviously you might have heard, if not already, Linux is also one of the most safest operating system, or Red Hat is one of the safest operating system out there. Okay, so there are so many security measures. Even for a basic file, also there is a thing called as SE Linux. So SE means security enhanced Linux. Okay, and you have the key based authentication. So this is what I told, like what when or what goes in the background we'll be seeing, like while we do the key based authentication, like for the SSH. Okay, so very, very important one because you might have used it before also using AWS or GCP, you might have used key-based authentication, but you don't have the full picture like, okay, what is a private key or how it is formed, how to generate it, right? So what and all goes in the background, you might have not worked on. So that's totally fine, but that's what key-based authentication, right? So very, very secure one as well as important knowledge also, as a sysadmin it will be. And the next one is firewall, normal firewall usage for network as well as application level. Everything will be discussing here. And how to restrict a user. So restricting a user based on shell or R bash, it is called as, okay. So it is like this, R bash, and you have jailed user. So which means, what if I'm restricting a user to use only this F partition? That's an interesting one, right? So he can only go to this partition or especially one directory in here. So he can only go to new folder 2. So that's he can't even go to his own home directory also. It's like, it's called as jailed user. We will be discussing that. Okay. And the next one is basic networking. As I mentioned, the how to set up an IP as a static one, as well as how to, this one we will be doing tomorrow itself, how to set up a host name and how to make the network service start automatically at the boot, as well as diagnosing if there is any issue, right? So all that we'll be discussing. And lastly, we'll be discussing the containers. So as of now, you might have heard of containers or you might have heard Docker, right? So Docker is like, they pioneered this containerization concept, and we'll be discussing Podman. So Podman is also a open source container, and Red Hat also owns Podman. Okay, so it's like they have major stake in it, and it's natively supported from Red Hat. So we will be using Podman, and you can even mention that in your resume because we'll be doing quite a lot of operations in it. How to set up a Podman, how to pull image, right? So pull, push, commit, everything will be doing. And this is part of the exam also, containers. Okay. And now the last one is VMware vSphere. So what is this? So VMware vSphere, this version is what will be used in your work environment. Okay. So in your company, they won't be using this version. So the one I am opening, right? Yeah. So VMware Workstation, this is for commercial use, not for your company. Okay. So companies prefer VMware vSphere. I will be showing you this because in your laptops, actually, you can't install VMware vSphere because it is a like, it requires a lot of hardware, and some hardwares only it will work. So I will try to show you at last session. We'll be seeing this VMware vSphere. Okay. So yeah, and so now, so with this, the syllabus part is done. So now, so who's the exact, or who's the destined audience for this one, right? So if you are new to IT, this is the very first course you are taking as an IT person, right? So let's say you are you're from EC or mechanical or some other department, you're switching to IT, you are, this is the new um, course, or this is the first path you are taking, means you are at the right stream because it is one of the easiest way to get into IT. Okay, so your Linux will be, and it is a pure IT, which means you can go from sysadmin. So this is the first career path it will be. So once you're understood, or once you're done with the batch, you can, it's not like compulsory, or you can attend RHCSA. Okay, so you can, or you will be eligible for the certification, and you can actually crack the certification also. Okay, so we will discuss that in a moment, but after sysadmin, you can, or you are eligible for system engineer, and you are eligible for DevOps also. So again, DevOps and SRE or site reliability engineer. So these are all the roadmap for your, or you can even be a platform engineer. So nowadays companies have a designation called as platform engineer. So it's like from sysadmin. So that's the first role you will be eligible once you're done with our batch. Okay. And after that, you can be or you are eligible for system engineer if you know some basic automation or if you know kind of advanced stuff, because our batch is not a it is from beginner to intermediate level. Advanced few topics only we'll be discussing, not a lot. Okay. So that's where sysadmin or sorry, system engineer will be performing. And once you know some DevOps tools, okay, so there is so many DevOps tools, but let's say you know Git or Jenkins or Ansible, like that, so many, the list goes on. Okay. At least if you know the basics of just a few tools, you will be eligible for DevOps engineer. Okay. And if you are experienced in that as well as automation, you will be eligible for SRE. It's SRE is like DevOps plus system engineer or DevOps plus automation. Okay, so that's where SRE. Platform engineer means you will be handling a lot actually. Okay, so you need to monitor the application as well as the IT role or the server end, everything you'll be doing as a platform engineer. Okay, so that's the kind of a roadmap of once you're done with the batch, what would be. Okay, so the next one is it's again, it's not a free batch, so it's a paid one. So the course fees is around 4130 INR, and in USD it is $50. Okay, and the duration, it's like not fixed 4 weeks. Okay, so it's like at least 4 weeks of content is there, around 20 days will be there. So based on your doubts, right? So and always doubts are welcome. So if you have so many doubts, the session will extend, and it's totally fine. Okay, so it's not like, okay, I must end at this certain date or something. So 4 weeks of content is there. It can even extend till 5 weeks or even 6 weeks based on um, your questions. Okay, so yeah, and please do reach out to support@Logic Labs if you're stuck somewhere while payment or something. Okay, and now we can have a Q&A. So yeah, Baba. So any doubts? You want me to unmute you? Okay, you're unmuted. You can.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, the question I have is, are you going to provide like the DOM, which shows the question and answer for the RHCSA exam?
Yeah, yeah. I'll be sharing it, but it's not the exact questions you'll be getting. But in our or while I attended, I almost got the same topics and questions. So this is what it is. I'm about to share it, but you already asked the question. So yeah, this is the kind of dumb. It's not the exact one. Okay, so yeah, because we
Is it
will
just
be.
the questions, or it shows how to answer the questions too?
Yeah, I'll be showing along with the batch. We will be resolving all the questions and answers also, or you already have an answer here. Okay, so each and every question and their respective answers here. Okay, so yeah, this drive link I'll be sharing, but yeah, so each and every question, how to answer, we will be discussing in the batch. So while I speak about the topic, let's say SE Linux, we'll be discussing that topic. After that, I will be resolving this question like that. Since it is a practical based, you must understand what goes in the background, right? So that's the thing.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, fine. So yeah, so this link, how to get it? So it is bit.ly Linux LL1. Okay, so this is the link. and it's an URL shortener, by the way. So we just click on that, and it will redirect you to this drive, okay, or resource section. So this is where our installation or anything, it will be anything related to our course will be posted here. Okay, so this is where the question paper, and trust me, like many people attended the exam and they like cleared it right out of the way within the first attempt. So yeah, and almost the same questions, guys. It's not like for sure this is the exact question you will get, because all the topics which is in this question paper we'll be discussing. And if you understood this, like how to answer stratus question, obviously any way they are asking, you can answer it, right? So like that, all the questions we'll be discussing during our batch. And even more than that, like how, if this question is asked in other way, how to answer it also we'll be discussing. Okay, and our batch is not only based on the exam part, what you do in real time, that matters, right? So obviously exam has its own credibility, but what you do in person, that is important. And this is the Excel sheet. I hope I can open it. Just a sec. Yeah. So this is like this is the SOP I created in my work environment. So it's like whatever checks or how to install and uninstall everything like route addition. So this is also an important one. Okay, so even this is part of this resource, and please do bookmark this. So you just click on here and you can bookmark this resource, and um, you can access this. Okay, so it's not like only if you join the batch you can access this. So anyone can access this one. Okay, so yeah, and the link won't change. Okay, so now just go to the installation files and you can access the installation part. So the last file, right? So VMware Workstation Pro as well as this ISO. So these two are the files you should download. So one is around 9.43 gigs and the other one is around 600 MB. So what these two files are? So these two are the, so VMware Workstation is what we will be installing, or virtually we will be using the OS, and this is the actual OS. RHEL 8.4 is the version we'll be using. Please don't use RHEL 7. Okay, so RHEL 7 is obsolete. No one uses it, especially in the exams point also. And even companies, almost many companies transition to RHEL 8. Okay, so RHEL 8.4 it is. Or if you want the latest package, you can go to the Red Hat official site. RHEL 9 ISO download. If you Google it, the very first link it will be, just click on it, and you should be landing at this section. Okay, so just click on download. It might ask for the credentials. Yeah, just a sec. Let me log in. Sir, after getting a job. Kishore, please do check with the support team on this one, because I don't have a control on how or any discount or something. So please check with the support team on this. Okay. And you see, this is how you download the one. And actually, let me go here. Yeah. So you see, this is the latest bill. And trust me, there is not much difference, guys. Okay. So you can either use 8.4 or 9.4. It doesn't matter, but please don't use a 7.7 version. RHEL 7, it should not be. Okay. Because there is a difference. What we have been doing, few commands, it will differ in RHEL 7. Okay. So yeah. And okay. Kishore, then you can opt for the sessions once you have the amount or something. Okay, so yeah, but I don't have the upper hand of giving any discount or something. So yeah, it's only managed by the support team. Okay, so let me show you the portal. So just log into this portal, create your own credential, login, go to courses, and yeah, here it is. Okay, so this is the link to opt for the course. Yeah, Arjun, you're having any doubts? You can unmute yourself.
Hi, Karthik.
Yeah,
Uh,
hi, Arjun.
so, so do we get live or lab while having the session, like where we can practice the commands?
Lab, that's what I mentioned, right? So lab, I will show you how to set up in your system. Okay. So in tomorrow's session, I'll be showing you how to install this lab and all, and it is free of cost only. So if you are installing in your own machine, that's great. If not, I will show you how to initiate or install in your AWS or GCP, but there is no lab provided from Logic Labs. Okay. So we will be installing in your system or AWS or GCP, but I will be showing you how to do that. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's all free. It's like you should not pay a penny. Okay. So it's free of cost. So, but I will show you how to install, what are all the steps to take. And it's already actually mentioned over here in the PDF. If you follow the steps, um, yeah, it will be clearly mentioned what should be performed. Anyhow, I'll be showing you in tomorrow's session. Don't worry about it
Okay.
because we must have a working lab. So that's the thing.
Within the VMware workstation, we are building the VMs. I mean the
Yeah,
Linux.
yeah, within the VMware workstation, or you can even use VMware VirtualBox. Sorry, virtual Oracle VirtualBox. But I prefer you to use VMware workstation because in VirtualBox sometimes there will be some network glitch. Means your IP won't be populated or some issues will be there. Okay, so that's the reason I personally prefer VMware Workstation, or you can use so many are there actually. Okay, so you can even use Vagrant, Hyper-V, so many different ways of using the virtualization is there. But I personally prefer VMware Workstation, and it works like a charm. Okay, so you can obviously rely on this one. And companies also use VMware only, so almost the same features only it will be in your work environment. Just the UI and the naming scheme will be different, but almost the same features it will be. Okay, so yeah.
Okay, so is it fine if we can use any Linux VM from any cloud service provider like Azure during the training? Because
Yeah, that's what I mentioned, right? You can either use VMware Workstation, or if you're, let's say you're using your own, how to say, like you are using your enterprise laptop, you don't have your personal laptop,
yes.
you don't have a choice, right? You can't install, you don't have an admin credentials. So in that case, your companies will use AWS, or they allow AWS, right? So there might not be a restriction for AWS or GCP or any other cloud service provider. I will show you, don't worry about it. I will show you how to initiate a VM in AWS or GCP or Azure. If you have the credentials for Azure, you can use, because the lab, you should not pay a penny for lab. That's what I prefer. And Azure actually is not giving a free trial. Okay, so it is giving a free trial only for students. Okay, so if you are a student, obviously use Azure also. It's your choice, but don't sign up for every cloud service right out of the way. Okay, so if you are using AWS, try to use it for the whole batch. It's not like, okay, I should switch to GCP or something. So try to use any one. If you are using VMware, try to stick with that. If not, you don't have a choice, like you don't have privilege to use VMware, please do use AWS or GCP. And don't worry of how to set up everything. I'll be showing you in tomorrow or day after sessions. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
So yeah, no problem. And Sai. Obviously, Sai, the recording will be shared and it will be shared in the YouTube channel. This one sec, let me share it. Yeah, this is the YouTube channel. And today's session, the session which you are seeing, right? So this will be posted in another few hours, at least within an hour, it will be posted. And you can go through today's recording or my previous batch recordings, okay? So that you will have an idea like this. This is my weekend batch, by the way. So you will have an idea like what we are discussing, right? So how my way of approach, and it will be fully practical based approach only, guys. Okay, so yeah, and the recording will be posted in the portal. Okay, so just first two sessions will be posted here. After that, you can log into this portal, logiclabstech.com, and you can see all the recordings once you opted for the course. So just click on buy course, and you can opt from your credit card, debit, UPI, any method. You can opt for the sessions. Okay. So yeah, any other doubts? And this is purely for the beginners or intermediate level. It's not like an advanced stuff we will be discussing. So if you're starting your career, this is a very straight away course or very important course, I would say, because if you take the developer route, let's say, if you're planning for, let's say, Python or Java developer, first thing you need to invest around 8 to 10 months. It will be taking for you to at least understand and like make a career out of it. Okay, then you need to start the job search. That will take at least 3 to 4 months, right? So this is a rough estimate. It can even change based on the job market, right? So this will take a lot of time. Whereas if you are planning for this route, Linux, and let's say you are like planning for Windows Server or so, you can right away within 3 to 4 months, you can even um, study, or even you can plan for advanced training also. And you can there is a requirement for like job market will be always there for operations, right? So these are all operations, like operations it will be, and very very important role. Okay, so it's not like a bad thing, or support means it is not a bad thing. It's a very, this is the actual or pure IT. Okay, so and you can even move to different roles within few years. You can move to different roles based on how many tools you are understanding or having knowledge, right? So it's not a bad thing, and it's the easy route, right? So if you're creating a career, this will be the easiest and straightforward route. And you might stuck in this route. I'm not like bashing Python or Java. It's like that's the hard truth. Okay, and there is a competition as well. So comparatively, this is the easiest route, I would say. So yeah, fine. So yeah, it's already time. Any other doubts, anyone? And um, Kishore, right? So Kishore, please do check with the respective team. I guess he dropped off. Yeah, fine. So yeah, if there is no doubts, and sorry for extending the time. So yeah, that's it for the day then. We will see in tomorrow at the same time, guys. I will be showing you how to install and everything. So yeah, if time permits, please do keep download and keep it handy, the ISO as well as the VMware. I'll be showing you how to install it. Okay. So yeah, that's it for the day then. Have a great day. Let's see you tomorrow at the same time. Thanks all. Bye bye.